What's up, YouTube? Freedom Tube, how you guys doing? Today I want to talk about our education system and some things that they don't teach you in school. I kind of just want to vent about how I've spent way too much time in school and what the fuck did they really teach me. But first things first, inflation and the cost of college. Like, look at how much college tuition is increasing all around the country. Why is that? Well, I'll tell you why that is. It's because you take out student loans. Like, the average student now has to take out student loans to afford college. And these colleges know, these kids can just take out a bunch of money from these banks, so we can raise our tuition. And they have, and that's why college has been increasing way beyond the rate of inflation. But they don't teach you that in school, and really don't talk much about inflation and why that's going on and what it does to our country. But I just want to talk about how, I don't know when it started specifically, but I think more and more nowadays you see all these commercials on TV or hear them on the radio about saving money, for your kids' college tuition, and usually they try to advertise to new parents or whatever it kind of sounds like, well, you should start saving today for your 4-year-old's future college education. And I want to ask, when did education become something that you have to save up for 15 years to afford? For a 4-year college tuition? And I could go on about our colleges and what they're teaching, but I want to start first with our high schools. And before we even get into this, I think education is very important, and I wouldn't be making this video if I didn't feel strongly about knowledge, and knowledge is power, and I don't want our country to be a bunch of illiterate dumbasses, because that's not good for anybody. But our education system is fucked up, and it's not working like it should, and it's causing some problems. I just want to talk about them real quick. High school and useful skills. I'm 25 years old, and I was thinking about it. I probably started kindergarten when I was 6. I think I went to some preschool, but we won't count that. I've spent almost 19 years in school, be it high school, elementary school, or even college. I spent 4 or 5 years. Actually, it's 6 years now. I've been kind of abusing the student loan system for a while, but I have spent way too much time in college, and it's yeah, I've learned stuff, but I've learned a lot more on my own just reading books. And I want to talk about what I've learned on my own and what I've learned in college and tuition debt and blah, blah, blah. But let's start with high school. I never, ever, well, I don't know, maybe there were a few days I like going to high school, but middle school, high school, even elementary school, since the time of 4th grade on, I was you know what, I would rather stay in bed today or do something else or get up and watch cartoons or whatever, it was, school sucks, you know what I mean? You know what I mean, probably, if you've been through it recently. There's some fun stuff, but a lot of it is just sitting around, and we're going to learn about something stupid that you don't want to learn about, or maybe something you already understand, but the rest of the class hasn't learned yet, so because we're going to learn at the speed of the fucking slowest kid in that class or whatever, we're going to sit here and learn about some stuff that you've already learned, or maybe you don't even give a damn about. I know kids that could have cared less about gym class or art class or fucking science class or whatever, and science I think is more important than gym, but gym is important too. But here's another thing. I know a lot of kids too who they're athletic, they worked out on their own, and they didn't want to take gym class because maybe they wanted to be in band or they wanted to take some other class or whatever, and there's all these scheduling requirements. You have to have so many credits, and you have to have this, and you have to do this and this and this, and they should give the choice back to the students and let them learn what they want to learn. But I feel after all my time in high school, I really came out of there with no useful skills. I learned how to read, but I probably learned how to read by the time I was in 6th grade. I know my basic math, but I had that, by the time I was in 4th or 5th grade. Really from the time of 6th grade to 12th grade, we learned about the same shit over and over again, and maybe got a little more detailed. We didn't tell you this last time or whatever, but even then, I learned about, Anglo-Saxon literature. That was all 10th grade. We studied British lit. That's going to get you hired, right? That was a waste of my fucking time. I could say I don't even know how to talk and all that old school, fucking whatever, but what the fuck? I didn't want to be there. My teacher was borderline sex offender, and he was just going off fucking about, reading straight out of the Bible sometimes. There was, in my textbook, shit out of the Bible, Puritan fucking shit. I don't give a fuck. I would rather be at home sleeping, or I'd even probably more so rather be, down at the shop class learning how to weld, or learning how to fix cars, or doing something that I can actually translate into money. Because all through high school, they make it sound you have to go to college and then you're going to make $1 million more. They still say that all the time, blah, 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 oh, it's a good loan, take out your student loans, you'll pay them back, it'll make your income so much higher, blah, blah, blah. But what they should be saying is, yeah, we're wasting 4 more years of your life just sitting here from, 6th grade to 12th grade, having you learn about shit you don't care about. And, some kids were able to get into some classes that maybe they're more interested in or whatever, like an environmental science class if that's what they're interested in. But, like, for the most part, these are the requirements, and you're going to sit here, you're going to do 11th grade English, you're going to do 12th grade English, you're going to do this stupid project that's not going to help you, but, like, you might be pretty good at summarizing articles and writing a fucking 2-page summary of a 1-page article by the time you get done with high school. But, like, I wish I learned how to fucking weld or do construction or do some shit that I did, like, I've done before, but I'm not qualified to do because I've never been trained or whatever. Like, I went through all that schooling. The taxpayers have paid so much money for all these kids to go to school, and it's like, really, when you come out, there's that cruel fucking taste of reality that says, you got to get a fucking job, and most of these jobs that you're actually qualified for straight out of high school, they're not even going to check to see if you graduated high school or not, like, oh, go be a dishwasher and try to live for $8 an hour. Like, I tell people all the time, I tell my own brother who's fucking 18 years old now, drop out of high school, dude. It's not going to do you any good. Like, I don't think he wants to go to college, so what the fuck are you going to graduate high school for? And the only people who have ever checked to see if I actually graduated high school were the colleges I've enrolled at. And even if you want to go to college and you're still in high school, the GED level in this country, I think you have to be like an 8th grade level. Drop out of fucking school, and then come back on a Saturday and fucking take your test and get your diploma. Like, if they really cared about education and this state-ran fucking education shit, why can't you just test out of it? If I'm smart enough at 14 years old to be like, yeah, high school's a waste of my time, let me test out of this real easily, you should be able to do that. But, like, it's not that easy. You might be able to get credit or whatever. Maybe they have a few kids now taking classes or 1 class a day at, like, a college or whatever. But, like, really, a lot of these high school kids might as well just be in fucking college taking college classes if they're going for fucking credit or whatever. But I have problems with our college system, too. And, while I'm on the subject of high school, though, I want to continue, like, they teach you so much bullshit in high school. And, like, it's not, like, I can tell you about the Coriolis effect and all sorts of shit that, it's interesting, I guess, but, like, yeah, that's not going to get me paid. Like, I wish you taught me how to fucking build a house. And I have a book here. I've referred people to the film Garbage Warrior. Garbage Warrior, it's on YouTube, you can find it. Michael Reynolds is the architect that film is about, and it's about these houses that he's making out in New Mexico, northern New Mexico. And these are made out of, like, tires, and he's packing them with dirt and making thermal masses that hold energy from the sun. And, shit, there's not good pictures. Watch the film Garbage Warrior if you want to learn more about it. But I have both of his books right here. These are 2 books, and these are how to actually build this thing yourself. Like, that's useful shit. And on top of that, these houses are revolutionary in the sense that the sun's energy from the way it's designed in the south-facing, windows or whatever, and the thermal mass, use the sun's energy so that you don't really need to burn fucking wood or whatever to heat that place, or you don't need air conditioning to cool it down. Maybe if it's a super, super hot day, you might fire up a stove or whatever, or a super cold day. But for the most part, we can build a house that regulates its temperature using the sun. And, like, that's smart. That's the fucking shit we should be learning about in school. That's the future. That's education. That's technology at its finest, making our lives easier. You don't learn how to do that in school. I was reading an article in I think it was the Grand Rapids Press or something, but it said something about Michigan's trying to pass a law to make it so that public school teachers cannot have sex with students who have turned 18 years old. I just think that's goofy. Like, I understand the intent behind it, but I understand freedom more. And I remember being 18 years old, sitting in some shitty-ass English class, reading the Odyssey, or some shit, that isn't going to get you a job or whatever, kind of thinking, I might bang my English teacher if I could. And, like, she was young, blah, 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 but it didn't happen. But if I have to go to school, and all these 18-year-olds have to go to school, if they want to fuck their teacher, I think they should have the liberty to do it. And I don't think we need a law telling them that you can't do it. But that's not the point I'm trying to make. I know that's kind of some crazy shit. I read the article. I kind of thought, fuck it. Do they really need to be doing this? But I understand, it probably is pretty unprofessional for a teacher to be fucking students. But I don't think students should be sitting in some state-ran education shit up until the time they're 18 years old. Like, it was a waste of my time. Blah, blah, blah. We pay these teachers way too much money when really most of these kids probably could pass the GED test at, ninth grade, 10th grade or whatever. But they don't give a fuck, you know what I mean? Like, the idea kind of is like, oh, well, you're smarter than the rest of them, so maybe we'll let you take, a couple, what's the word for extra classes or whatever, elective classes. You might get to pick an elective or two, maybe you can go study, biology or something for an hour a day. But you're still going to be back here taking gym class, taking health class, taking some bullshit. Like, honestly, I don't know. They've been teaching gym for a long time in America, and look at how obese we are. I don't think it's really doing much, but whatever. One of the comments on that sex with fucking 18-year-old students, somebody wrote something along the lines of, it says a lot. Well, first I'll say this. A lot of the other comments were like, yeah, they shouldn't be able to have sex with those students. It's so irresponsible. People of authority can't, use that because, they might try to use their authority to, pretty much sexually harass some chick into having sex with them, which I could maybe see some teachers doing, because there are some sicko fucking, I'll tell you, my 10th grade English teacher, fucking Mr. Asscool, like, you can probably read about him in the paper, but there was a touching incident, and I don't know what happened or whatever. But a lot of the commenters were saying, somebody who's just 18 might not know how to get out of that situation if, like, they were being hit on by a teacher. Like, they might try to take her to a hotel room or something, blah, 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 and she might not have the skills to really know how to turn that down, or might feel like she has to because the teacher could fuck with her grade. And then the comment that I read below, and I was like, yeah, it says it all. Pretty much somebody wrote something along the lines of, this says a lot about our education system, that we're keeping kids there for fucking, I don't know how many years, 10 years, 19 years, and they're coming out of there. And some of these girls might not have the fucking know-how to explain to somebody, like, no, I don't want to have sex with you. Like, them, you know what I mean? Like, it's goofy, but really, what the fuck are we teaching these kids? Like, you come out of there and you act like, oh, we're just so immature, we're going to arrest you if you're drinking underage, blah, 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 you can't rent a car, you're just some fucking kid, 18-year-old punk. But I'll tell you the honest-to-God truth, a lot of these kids that know how to use the internet are smarter than 50-year-olds, 40-year-olds in our society that don't know how to look anything up online. And if we just got the internet to every person in America, that would do a lot more to further our education, like so much more. And I'm a big believer in probably K through 12. Like, you need to get your K through 6 schooling. You need to get these kids there and teach them how to read. That's real important. They need to learn how to read, but they don't need to study fucking Anglo literature or some fucking Look at fucking advanced algebra and shit. I remember some of the shit we did in math. Like, yeah, algebra is kind of cool, but people take that shit way too far. That fractorial algebra shit, like, never have I ever used that in my real life. And, like, I remember my teacher teaching us about imaginary numbers. And I was a smartass, but this bitch didn't know what she was talking about. And I raised my hand and I asked a bunch of questions, and it became real clear, like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Imaginary numbers, that shit's goofy. But, you know what I mean? That's not going to teach you how to get a job. Like, we should be teaching kids, you're going to have to pay your rent when you get out of school, and fucking this is a way you can do it. But these kids are coming out, and it's like, wow, I just got fucking dicked around by fucking the public school system, and like, what the fuck? Now, what am I going to do? Like, I really feel like if I would have just dropped out at 16 and started working and saving my money, I'd be in a lot better off position than I am now. And like, I went to college for 5 years, and that 6 years maybe, whatever. It was bullshit. Like, they don't let you pick the classes you want to take, and like, there's a lot of problems with our school system. But on top of that, so a teacher or professor might be like, well, if you're not going to have sex with me, it's going to affect your grade. That is sexual harassment. That's probably a far-fetched example of it. But like, you act like fucking, oh, teachers are some unbiased fucking person, like, they fucking grade people based on all sorts of shit. And it probably is subconscious a lot of times, but real teachers know, like, sometimes they don't like kids, and like, you know what? I don't like a lot of teachers I've had. I've told them it. Like, I was fucking teacher's torment in my high school, like, mock elections. I gave them some hell. But I'm not going to sit there with some ignorant fucking bitch who doesn't know what she's talking about and sit there for 45 minutes and not say something. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. And, like, I'll let them know when they don't know. But why the fuck are we teaching kids, like, oh, all this useless shit? And, people are still like, oh, more money for education. I see Occupy Wall Street people down there. I was at the march on Saturday. And there was some middle-aged women there, judging by the signs, like more money for education. It looked like they were like teachers or something. Like, our education system sucks, but money is not the answer. You know what I mean? Like, we need to change the curriculum. I've been reading about the curriculum in Utah and just different state-by-state curriculums, and I never really realized how much it varies from state to state, but they're teaching you different curriculums in every state. And, like, that's not scientific. Like, I'm sick of this. You have to memorize what's in the textbook, and, you know, like, fucking, I remember taking tests about how many planets were in the solar system, and it's different now, you know what I mean? But, like, well, can I go apply at a job and be like, well, I do know how many planets are in the solar system? You know, like, they're teaching us useless shit, and shit that changes, too. Like, they taught us how to do our resume, and then you take it someplace else 2 years later, and they got a new method now, you know, it's all this, like, PR fucking, not PR, human resources people, you know, oh, we gotta change this now. Like, all these people that supposedly have jobs are just doing shit that's insane. Like, I don't know, I could bitch about bankers sitting around, or even some of these teachers. Like, if you're just sitting around teaching kids how to format their resumes, you know, maybe fucking, I don't even know how to say it. Like, I sat through classes in 8th grade when no one else even had work experience. Like, how do you want me to make a resume? Like, oh, I got a B in science class? I'm sick of the government even thinking they have the right to fucking grade my knowledge. Like, they don't. But I want to talk about, like, inflation. So they're loaning all these kids money, and that's why the cost of college tuition has gotten so high now that everybody has to take out a student loan pretty much unless you have rich parents to go fucking to college. Like, it's fucking indentured slavery pretty much. Like, yeah, if you want a good job, you gotta go to college, which I don't really believe, but I know a ton of kids who came out of college now who actually graduated. I dropped out because I don't want to graduate from college just because, like, fuck that. I don't want to continue this system. But they aren't doing shit. You know what I mean? They're living with their parents, working some shitty job, trying to sell fucking insurance or something. Like, you could do that right out of high school. And, like, my little brother just spent, I don't know, 4 or 5 years at the University of Michigan to come out, you know, with a bunch of debt, and he's only getting paid $15 an hour. Like, there's janitors who used to get paid that much money. Like, we have a real problem with inflation and the games that are being played with our monetary system. They're not teaching that in school, and it pisses me off. Like, really, what happened to the day where I'm going to go out into the fucking woods, I'm going to chop down some trees, I'm going to build a log cabin, I'm going to live there? We could still be there. Like, really, if you think about it, me and a few of my buddies could build a house with the fucking materials on the land like the Native Americans did in a summer. But nowadays, people take out mortgages for 40 years, you know, 20 years to pay off the cost of their house. Like, when did the cost of a house get so inflated that you need to work your whole life? You know what I mean? Like, nowadays, there's a lot of people who, like, well, I need to, you know, whatever, you did to go to college, you didn't, you know, but, like, I need to save money for 20 years so I can afford to send my kids to college, and at the same time, I also need to be making my house payment or my mortgage payment for fucking 20, 30, 40 years so that I can fucking live here. Like, when does society get to this point where we're working our whole lives just for some shitty house? Like, I can go build a fucking house, and, like, on top of that, I can go build a house that actually is technologically advanced and makes more sense than the bullshit we're building now. And Barack Obama was talking about how, oh, we're going to have some special fucking mortgage refinancing for these people who got mortgages on houses that were way overpriced. Like, I'm sick of this. Let the fucking real estate market collapse completely. Let it fucking collapse. Like, they're fucking over all these kids, all these people my age who should be out buying a house right now, or who should be out building a fucking house on a vacant lot. Like, I could do that. But land is so expensive, houses are so expensive now, and, like, nobody wants to talk about why. I'll tell you why. When you go put your money in a fucking checking account or savings account, that bank loans it out to other people. And, like, these people might go to the bank and be like, oh yeah, I want to get a home mortgage, I need $200,000 to buy this house, right? So the bank writes a mortgage with other people's money, or they write a loan out to you to go buy a house. Really, they're giving you other people's money that's supposed to be sitting in their bank. And you're going to go fucking take that money, and you're going to pay it to the person you bought a house from. So the bank pretty much owns that house now, but the person who used to own it before got all that money. But all that money belongs to the people who have their money in the bank. So what I'm actually getting at is people are buying houses with other people's money that's not supposed to be out in circulation. This is called the fractional reserve banking system. And it's supposed to be, you know, guaranteed by the Federal Reserve that if the bank fucks up and loans out too much of your money, you know, you'll get your money back or whatever, whatever. But there's a huge problem here because what has happened is the average home in Denver costs $300,000 because people are buying homes with other people's money that shouldn't even be in circulation. That's how this shit happened, and that's why houses are so expensive. We need to get back to, we're going to teach you useful shit, like how to build your own house. And this real estate market needs to collapse. Like, it really needs to fucking collapse. And I'm sick of anybody who's continuing it. Obama with his policies, Section 8. Fucking, I heard on the news, I've heard it a few times now, there's some proposal in Congress to give visas to any foreigner who wants to come into America and buy a home for $500,000. That's what I'm talking about. That's keeping this real estate bubble that needs to collapse inflated. And that's selling out our fucking real estate that should be being bought up by fucking our youth and our own Americans, selling it out to foreigners. And I'm sick of this trend that's going on with all these fucking ass white politicians like, oh yeah, we're just selling out the youth. We're selling out this country. Fucking, I got the federal government to pay my rent here in Denver for the past 18 months under a program called the Rapid Rehousing Program through the Colorado Coalition Through the Homeless. I mean, it's a program I was qualified for, and if somebody's going to be doing it, I'll sign up for it and I'll take your money. But really, if they weren't paying so many people's rents down here, the fucking housing market would come down and it would get to a point where it's actually affordable again. Like, we have such overpriced housing. You're not supposed to work your whole life to build a house. You and a couple of your friends could do that in one summer. Like, me and 4 buddies could build a house every summer working like 20 hours a week. And, you know, fucking whatever, live in the house or, you know, build the next one, split it up. 2 of us are going to live in each house, and then we'll build another one, and 3 of us are going to live in 3 houses, and one's going to have 2 or whatever. But, like, there's no freedom anymore. You can't, like, watch the film Garbage Warrior. It's about this guy in these houses, because, I mean, you can see he's building out of tires and shit. There's zoning codes. Like, this is a bitch. You have to spend so much money and time dealing with zoning regulations just to build a house that's smarter than the other houses. Like, our education system is fucked. We need to restore freedom. And this is another book that I've been studying here too, Permaculture, A Practical Guide for a Sustainable Future. This is an excellent fucking book. This is like one of the most complex textbooks I've ever seen on this topic. It probably is the standard, but nobody even knows what permaculture is because they're not teaching that in school. But it's pretty much the idea that we can design our landscapes around us to be self-sufficient producing food forests that, you know, pretty much, oh, I'm going to walk out my backyard, I'm going to pick some apples or whatever's in season, you know, we're going to grow my strawberries, I'm going to have perennials, and fucking, it's going to come back with minimal work. Like, the idea is, even in the desert, or even in fucking, you know, semi-arid environments or fucking tropical environments, there's different techniques you can use to work the land around your house to make it produce food for you. That's important shit. Like, that's the kind of useful shit we should be learning in school, because if you really think about it, if you get educated to the point where, like, hey, you know how to build your own house, you know how to fucking grow food off the land and raise some chickens or something. Like, really, this system's smart, and, like, I would encourage you to read this too, but it kind of has to do with, like, you can use ducks and chicken to go fucking weed your gardens, and they'll pick out the fucking shit and they'll eat it. And as they fucking shit in your garden beds too, that refertilizes the shit. There's, like, all sorts of natural ways. This doesn't use pesticides. This is organic. Like, I've read, I'm not going to try to find it. I got books all over this place. I've been reading a lot of shit since I've been dropped out of school and have the freedom to actually study what I want to. But I've been learning about practical shit. And what I want to do is I want to go get some land and I want to build a house and I want to fucking raise my own food right there. Because to me, if I plant some apple trees and fucking pear trees or peaches or whatever, I could go off a lot more. But that is security. That's a real retirement plan. This whole idea that I'm just going to invest in the stock market and inflation, and hopefully fucking I can get out, but look what the economy's done now. We're in a huge recession, if not Great Depression. That's insane. And we need to change that. Did you know that you cannot take the bar exam without going to law school? Like, why can't you just go take it? Like, if we really want to cut costs for college and education in general, why can't I go take my GED or my general college equivalency and in one weekend test out and be like, oh yeah, I am smarter than the average college student. I've learned all this and that. No, it's about doing time. Like, you gotta be there, you gotta earn the credits, and like, all these fucking educators, you know, like, it's to a point where the education union and the teachers union, they're kind of corrupt because they just want more money. And I hear some of these teachers might not be getting enough and we're bailing out bankers. I can see why they want more money. But just throwing money at this education problem, no. Teach us something useful. If we're going to be doing that, fucking kids should be coming out like, oh, I'm a fucking mechanic now. I fucking know how to weld. I know how to fucking do something. To have all these kids go to school for 20 years and come out with no skills, oh, it pisses me the fuck off that my parents used to make me go to school. I would have dropped out a long time ago and fucking, it's fucked up. It really is. I bought into that after a while because I had so many teachers cram this whole, oh, you need to go to college to make good money, you need to go to college. Like, it's a fucking Ponzi scheme, really. It's the biggest fucking pyramid scheme ever. Everyone else wants to go to college, wants you to go to college because they already did it. But look how fucking much the cost has inflated over the past 10, 15, 20 years. Like, people have to work, save up money for 20 years to afford to send their kids to college. That's nuts. You know, fucking 25-year fucking mortgage in your house. Just go build the goddamn thing. I'm sick of America in the sense that I can't just go set up my tent someplace and live. I can't just go take some land and build a fucking little hut like the Native Americans used to. But why not? You know, you want me to work down here for $8 an hour. You want me to get into this fucking banking system where, oh, I'm going to buy a home in the city that's so inflated that I have to go to a bank and I have to take out a loan and I have to get a mortgage now. It's fucked up. Like, everybody in America has to do that almost. Everybody has a mortgage. They go out and they fucking borrow money from a bank because the homes are too expensive. Like, we should be building our own homes and we should be doing shit that's smart. Our education system is not smart and it's pretty fucked up, actually. The other thing I had written down here is this whole anti-bullying thing. Like, what the fuck is that anti-bullying? That's an assault on free speech when it really comes down to it. Like, if you want to call a kid fat or make fun of some girl in your class, see if I fucking care. And, you know, they make it sound like, oh my god, this is a huge deal. We can't have this in our nanny state. Like, great. Now you can have all these 18-year-old kids who come out of school who not only can't handle being picked on, but they don't have any useful skill in life and they don't know what the fuck to do when it comes to how am I going to eat, how am I going to pay my rent, how am I going to survive. It's not good. If there's any kids that are still in high school that are watching this, I would encourage you to take advantage of your free speech. Because that is your First Amendment right that is under so much assault and fucking blah, 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 but whatever. If you're in class and your teacher's an idiot, raise your hand and be like, hey, fat ass. And let him know exactly what you say. Let him know how you feel. Like, you're a dumbass, man. This class sucks. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. Or even if you're just ugly or fat. Or, I mean, I would encourage all these high school kids who are in school that maybe don't want to be there, start using your free speech, man. Take advantage of that. And on a more practical sense, I want to break America away from this, like, whole, ooh, we're going to go to state schools and, like, maybe a good idea is to make it so that it's illegal for high schools and colleges to even tell if people graduated or what their grade point average was. Because I do not like letting the state decide how smart people are. Because, too, there's been test answers that I've gotten wrong before, and I think the teacher had it wrong. Or I think the test was poorly worded, or, like, a lot of shit's political. Like, fucking, look what I'm wearing right here, right now. 9/11 truth now. They don't teach you 9/11 truth in school. They don't teach you about inflation or the Federal Reserve or any of that honest shit. Like, really? It's all opinion anyway. And you know what? Private employers should take the responsibility of not relying on, oh, you graduated high school, you got a college degree or whatever. If knowledge is really important, there should be a test. And when you get there, like, oh, in my job interview, I'm going to give you a test and see how smart you really are. Because you know what? Maybe you sucked dick in fucking college to get all A's. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't show just because you fucking had parents that could fucking afford to pay your fucking college tuition so that maybe you didn't have to work and you could really sit there and concentrate on learning a bunch of useless shit while other people worked full time and, you know, barely got by and it showed in their grades. Like, what the fuck's the point of this? Like, you really have turned a whole generation into indentured fucking students. And we're not going to pay this debt back. Like, our whole country's fucking broke anyway. You think you're going to get this money back from students? It's not going to happen, especially with the money we're making right now. Like, it's insane. We should get every kid in America the internet. We should get every person the internet. That's a real fucking useful tool that can educate our country. We should have bullet trains by now. Like, fucking, it's to the point where I look at our education system as just training you to fucking put up with a bunch of bullshit. I think that's everything I wanted to say. There's one more thing I think that I wanted to say, but I think you get the gist of what I'm getting at anyway. I don't remember what I was going to say, but Barack Obama needs to be impeached. He's a war criminal, and he's in bed with Goldman Sachs and all these fucking bankers who are trying to keep this property bubble ridiculously high. And we need real fucking change. I'm sick of that asshole. Have a good day, YouTube. You know, you learn all that America's the best country in the world, you have free speech, blah, 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 bullshit in school. but you never really learn your rights. You never really learn that, hey, you don't have any money, and if you get charged with a crime, regardless if you committed it or not, you probably are going to get fucked if you can't afford a lawyer. Like, I was at that march down in Denver the other day, and they had some lady from a lawyer's guild or whatever out there going over all your rights with kids. And, like, a lot of shit I've seen at these Occupy protests, it's like, man, this should be school. Like, why the fuck don't we teach kids adequately about their rights in school? Like, I mean, you kind of get the basics, oh, yeah, free speech, blah, 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 but, like, they teach you America's a free country, and they don't explain to you that, like, but if you can't find a job, good luck. You know, the police are going to be there to kick you in your tent out of the park. You know what I mean? Like, fucking, like, America's not a free country, and if you believe that, your head is up your fucking ass. Like, really? It's not. How can you say it's free? Everything costs money. There's no place you can go, really, to sleep without fucking money. You know, like, set a tent up on the sidewalk, like fucking Mayor Hancock's trying to kick all these homeless people off the 16th Street Mall. You know, like, it's not a free country. You know, what? Peacefully assemble. It's the First Amendment. Yeah, so you're poor. If you want to sleep on the sidewalk, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm sick of society going after the poorest fucking people. Like, somehow some homeless dude is causing all the problems with our country. Like, no, point the blame where it belongs, and that's Washington, D.C. and your fucking representatives. Like, America is a great fucking country. America was a great country because of the ideas like freedom of speech. You know what I mean? Like, that's novel. Really, people have been killed all around the world for running their mouths throughout history. And here, for a while, at least, you know, I still have the liberty to run my mouth here. But there's an assault on that. And, like, they've got our society so dumbed down and so polarized against each other that, like, it's fucked up. The last thing I want to say, we can't let America die. Like, I really will give my life to save this fucking country because of the power of free speech. Like, that's such a novel concept. That's so refreshing to the world. Like, that's the kind of shit that, like, we should be a shining beacon on a hill. That's the kind of shit we need to fucking let shine.